Nicholson.
Mr. Chairman, I think everybody knows my position. It's been stated enough. But I do want to bring a couple of ideas to Council's attention of what is going on out there. And the speakers so far have been quite good. They outlined some areas of where problems are occurring because of speculation. And I really liked Mr. Thompson's word, parasite, because I think it's accurate. We have in the city of Oshawa what can only be called an illegal unit shuffle. If you're a property owner and you live in Whitby, you buy in Oshawa and you set up an illegal unit. If you live in Oshawa, you buy one in Whitby. Nobody seems to want to buy them in their neighborhood. We've had a lot of comments lately about saying, well, if you oppose illegal units, you're opposing affordable housing. Well, it's actually right the opposite. I don't notice an awful lot of investors coming in buying the $250,000 large home on a large lot and putting one basement apartment in. But what I do notice is because they're out to make a quick buck, they'll come in and they'll buy a couple of semis at $100,000 each. The very affordable housing that a lot of people in this community would look at as being the first step to buying a home, these investors are gobbling up and turning into illegal units. At the same time, I haven't noticed an awful lot of these landlords, for want of a better term, offering their units at $300, like affordable housing. I don't see an awful lot in the paper. You go through the paper, you see a basement apartment, one bedroom, probably maybe 900 square feet tops, $650. No parking. You want parking, you park on the street. That's not affordable housing. Anybody who tells you it is kidding yourself. It's not good housing, it's a tenement. That's why we have a zoning bylaw to stop this type of housing from occurring. We have limits on what densities we want in certain areas of the city. When you start putting illegal units into areas, you destroy all those zoning requirements. You get higher densities than all the services are built to hold. We've got something new occurring in a lot of neighborhoods here. A lot of people are aware of Neighborhood Watch, which is supposed to have been formed to look after safety and security. A new feature in a lot of neighborhoods is called Illegal Unit Watch. People are watching their neighborhood, and every time they see a sign or somebody going up for sale, they're checking it out. Is it another illegal unit in the neighborhood? Now, is that really what we want in our community, to have one neighbor checking out their window and having to go around on a week-by-week area, trying to check and see if there's another unit biting the dust in their neighborhood? That's not what we expect, and I don't think we expect our citizens to do that. That's why we have zoning bylaws. That's supposedly why we enforce them. We do that here at the city. The other major point that's been raised, and I was glad it was raised by Mr. Hewitt, when you have an illegal unit, you have a whole bunch of other problems. Many are created without building permits. We don't know if the wiring is safe. We don't know if it's up to standard or meets the capacity of the home. We don't know if the sewer connections are done properly or they're misconnected. There's no way of ever finding this out because the units are never inspected. So how do we find out when something goes wrong? We have a situation where I have one area in my area, I have about 140 homes on 4 streets. They're all new homes. They were only built in the last 2 years. They're all semi-detached. They already have 2 units, each half of the semi-detached home, on a 55-foot by foot frontage lot. That lot is already duplex. We have a situation where investors are going in, buying these semi-detached units, and putting an upstairs and a downstairs. You now have 4 families living on a 55-foot square lot. That's 4 families living in a lot that was designed for 1. And when you go into a semi-detached house and you have 2 parents, and 3 kids upstairs, and 2 parents and 3 kids downstairs, and the building is only 1,800 square feet, you can't tell me that's the type of housing we want in the city. I don't think it is, and I don't think it's anything we should accept as a council. We have a lot of problems with parking. Go into an area where there's a lot of duplexing in the wintertime. Try and see if the snowplows ever had a chance to get through. Because I'll tell you, it doesn't. We have crews down there towing cars away just so we can plow the street. Talk to the crews of the Oshawa Ambulance Service when they try and get into a home. With an ambulance, you've got to back into it so you can get someone to the back doors. If you can't turn your ambulance around, you can't get into the driveway. That's occurring, and these things should not be tolerated by anyone living in our city. We have situations where we have semi-detached houses, not with 1 apartment as allowed, not with 2, but in some cases with 3 apartments in a semi-detached half of a house. I can point to an area of Agnes Street in this city. I invite anyone to go take a look at Agnes Street. You can walk into a home with 6 or 7 bachelorettes in 3 stories. These are glorified rooms being sold as apartments. Each one of those being rented for $400 or $500. Strange enough, the owner doesn't live in the building. It's not surprising. I guess the bottom line here is, if we have a zoning bylaw, it's our duty to enforce it. We should not be hiding ourselves behind the argument that we're providing affordable housing. We're not providing affordable housing by allowing illegal units. We're providing tenements. It's inadequate housing. It's unsafe housing. It depreciates the value of property of people who've worked 30 or 40 years to buy their homes. And if we allow it to continue, we're not being responsive to the people of our community. They're telling us here tonight they're mad, they've had enough. It's council's duty to follow through on that feeling and change things for the better.
We had Alderman Beale, Nicholson,